We're back with the breaking news in the space race and the explosion of the biggest rocket ever, moments after it launched just this morning. SpaceX actually hailed this launch as a success because it did make it off the launch pad, even though, as you can see here, the rocket exploded minutes later. Let's bring in NBC's Tom Costello. Tom, what exactly happened here? Why are they considering this a success?
Well, listen, this is, in true rocket science fashion, that's how you learn. NASA has had plenty of rocket failures over the years. SpaceX has had plenty of rocket failures. There you go right there. That's when you started beginning to see some problems. The bottom line is, as you know, SpaceX has had very much a lot of success, I mean to say, getting astronauts to the space station. So this is the next stage. This was the most powerful, the biggest rocket ever, and they had a problem with stage separation. It appears not to have separated. It's possible not all the engines were firing. And so with this, the first test ever of this entire integrated stack, something went wrong. Thankfully, nobody was on board this rocket, no satellites on board. This was strictly a test flight to see if it could orbit the Earth in 90 minutes and then come back. And it pretty much broke apart over the Gulf of Mexico. I love the SpaceX language. Listen to this. They say Starship, that's the name of the rocket ship, Starship experienced a rapid, unscheduled disassembly before stage separation, right? That's only a rocket scientist would talk like that. It blew up. That's what happened. The whole thing came apart. The good news is nobody injured on the ground. It all apparently fell into the Gulf of Mexico, and teams are now going to work on trying to recover all of it. And Elon Musk is saying congratulations for a test flight. Didn't go well, but they'll learn from it. They always do, and they hope to try again in a few months. Listen, a very big disappointment, but this is why you run test flights. They are shakedowns. You learn something from it, and you try to figure out what went wrong. This is also not only the biggest, it is the most complicated rocket assembly ever. 33 engines. They've all got to fire perfectly in sync. So, as you would expect, there is very little room for error when you have something like that happening. Now they got to diagnose what happened, try to figure it out, and go back to the drawing board. And there is a little bit more of good news because, you know, we were joking about the fact they congratulated themselves for getting off the pad. That's actually a big thing. You don't want to blow up on the pad because then you take out the pad, right? And they need the pad. They need to come back and use it again. So they'll learn from this in true SpaceX fashion, and they'll try to figure out what happened, what went wrong. And I'm sure that they will probably they have to report back to NASA, by the way, because this is eventually going to carry NASA astronauts onto the moon.
Yeah, people in cargo. And so they got to figure out what went wrong here. Thank you so much, Tom Costello. Okay. The unscheduled disassembly, that is a new one. I'm going to use that down the road when something doesn't go right. Very rapid. Thank you.
House lawmakers passed a Republican bill that bans transgender athletes from women's school sports. The bill would change Title IX's definition of sex and base it explicitly on someone's genetics at birth. It passed along party lines in the House and is expected to go nowhere in the Democratic-controlled Senate. This is what House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said right after the bill passed.
Today is a great day for America, for fairness, for families, and most importantly, for female athletes. House Republicans pledged before the last election their commitment to America to protect women and girls in sports. Today, we kept that promise.
NBC's Garrett Hake is on Capitol Hill for us. Also with me, former New York Democratic Congressman Max Rose. So, Garrett, what are you hearing from lawmakers there as they pass this bill?
Well, look, Republicans believe this is an issue of fairness, as McCarthy said there. It's also something they ran on going back to even the Glenn Youngkin win in Virginia more than a year ago now. And they think it's a politically poignant issue with suburban voters. Let's just listen to how Elise Stefanik described the vote today at that same news conference.
Growing up, I myself played varsity lacrosse. I also rode crew in high school. And to have that opportunity to learn leadership, to learn discipline, to learn teamwork is so important. So this is about protecting women's sports now and into the future. And we anticipate this will be passed today. And it is a winning issue across America, standing up for the future of women and girls.
part, Democrats, as you point out, say this bill's not going anywhere. It won't go anywhere in the Senate. Joe Biden wouldn't sign it if it somehow did. I mean, it's not even going to be put on the floor. Democrats call this bill creepy. They say, you know, how would you enforce this? Is somebody going to go around and actually check to see who's a biological female and who is not? More to the point, they say it puts a target on the back of transgender people, some of the most vulnerable people, particularly transgender children in society, and they don't think it's appropriate at all to go this route. But, you know, look, the future of this bill stops here, but for Republicans, it's a talking point and a key issue, they believe, for their voters.
A mid-flight screaming match caught on camera. A crying baby and a grown passenger who just about had it.
That child has been crying for 40 minutes. Calm the child down, please.
Other passengers recording the outburst as the fed-up man complained and yelled at flight attendants desperately trying to calm him down.
I'm not screaming. You want me to scream? You want me to scream? Don't scream. Please stop the baby. That child was a black baby. What the f*** be happening right now? I know you're not going there.
The Southwest Florida flight appeared to have been stuck in a holding pattern due to weather when the passenger erupted in a fit of anger.
So is the baby. We are in a tin can with a baby in a damn echo chamber, and you want to talk to me about being okay?
The video, now seen over 180,000 times on TikTok, spurring some users to come to the angry passenger's defense. A user, CC, commenting, quote, "I love this guy. They need to give him a year worth of free flying. Made my day." But even with all the baby cry, some saying it was the passenger who was out of line. A user saying, quote, "Is he the real baby? Yes. Is he vocalizing how most feel? Yes." In a response to an NBC News request for statement, Southwest Airlines said, "We commend our crew for exhibiting outstanding professionalism while handling a challenging situation. And we appreciate the patience of our other customers on board who had to experience such unacceptable behavior during their flight."
Calm the child down, please.
After the outburst, the video appears to show the angry passenger refusing to deplane, forcing everyone to get off. He then appears to make his case to Southwest security in a Florida airport. Nyla Charles, NBC News.
Just in the last couple of minutes, we've learned BuzzFeed has decided to shut down its newsroom.
Yeah, Jose, this is no doubt a rough day for the news business. So in an email sent to BuzzFeed employees, CEO Jonah Peretti laid out the cuts and the implications there. BuzzFeed will lay off about 15% of its staff, and it's going to completely shut down the news unit itself. It's going to amount to around 180 people losing their jobs. And you may recall BuzzFeed had already cut around 12% of its staff just this past December. Just a year ago, CNBC had reported that some BuzzFeed investors had been pushing the company to exit the news business. Now, in the wake of this announcement, all of the news content at BuzzFeed will be folded up and wrapped up into its Huffington Post unit. And this is, of course, all happening on the same day, Jose, that other digital news platform, Business Insider/Insider, announced that it will cut 10% of its staff, given what it characterizes as the same economic headwinds facing other media companies. So this is one of those stories right now where we're kind of figuring out whether or not the broader economy is going to have a real jobs effect, and it's happening right now.
Dominic Chu, I thank you so very much.
Staying in New York now, mayhem in Midtown when a car plowed right through an outdoor restaurant. Andrew Dimbert has that story. Good morning to you, Andrew.
And good morning, Lindsay. It was a wild scene here in New York. The video is hard to watch. It all started when the NYPD attempted to pull over a black Cadillac for potentially driving with a fake license plate. The driver speeding through the Manhattan streets, trying to evade officers before plowing right through an outdoor dining structure, nearly missing a female pedestrian. The driver also taking out a street sign and a fire hydrant before escaping on foot. By the way, that pedestrian that was nearly hit was missed by inches, if you take a look at the video there. Now, during the chase, though, an officer was struck, sustaining an injury to the head. He was rushed to the hospital, but is expected to survive. Meanwhile, no arrests in this case have been made just yet. and the investigation is still ongoing. But really harrowing video there, hard to watch, especially for all the pedestrians that were out there and dining outdoors in the middle of busy Midtown in the middle of the day. Rebecca?
Thank goodness no one was hurt. All right, Andrew, thanks so much for that.
A Pentagon official revealed today that the U.S. government is investigating more than 600 potential UFO sightings. CBS's David Martin reports newly declassified video shows one flying object that has experts baffled.
An American military drone conducting surveillance in the Middle East. Suddenly, an unidentified object zips in and out of frame. Slow it down, and it appears to be a metallic sphere. But where it came from and what it was doing remain a mystery to the Pentagon. One of many.
We are tracking over a total of 650 cases.
The head of the Pentagon office investigating UFOs told a Senate subcommittee the sightings are concentrated off the east and west coast of the U.S., in the Middle East, and the South China Sea. Here's a second video. The camera is watching another drone when an oblong object flies past. This time, an infrared sensor was able to get a different view and identify it as a commuter airliner.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on
The Pentagon says there is still no credible evidence any of the unidentified objects came from outer space. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.